Happy New Year! Here I am with my first video for 2022. 2022. 2022. There's a bit of a snowstorm happening outside, which is not as exciting as I wanted it to be when I wanted snow to fall in December. And I'm here with my reading goals for 2022. I did a little poll on my Instagram. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I'll put there's always a link in the description box below. But I did a little poll on my stories on Instagram, and one of my goals actually for this year is to spend a bit more time doing Bookstagram content on Instagram, and also more time on my channel. I did a little poll that was really fun, and I had already started filming my my stats video, and then I checked the poll and the voters voted for me to do my 2022 goals. So I ended up filming both of those videos, but I'm putting up the 2022 goals first, and my TBR for January, which is the video you're watching now. And then on Wednesday, I'll post the video just reflecting back 2021 year and review on my stats and the reading year that I had, because I did have a really big reading year last year, mostly because of the BookTube channel that I started in March that you're now watching. And if you've been watching for a while, then, you know, thank you so much. And I mean, I just enjoy doing this. So, you know, I'm just happy if you're enjoying the content, and I really have a lot of fun with it, and it's really expanded my life so much. It's contributed so much to my life. So I'm having fun with it. It's a great creative outlet, and I'm just reading so much more because I also joined 2 challenges this year, and that really helped me to achieve my reading goals. So this year in 2022, part of my reading goals is going to be to participate in more book challenges on BookTube and Bookstagram, and spend a bit more time participating in the community around reading that exists online. So I'm really looking forward to that. In particular, I'm going to participate in 5 book challenges this year, and I'll talk about one of the book challenges that I'm going to be participating in. Well, I guess monthly readathons, that's what I mean. Like when I say 5, I guess I should say 5 readathons. And I'm also participating in 2 book challenges that take place over the whole year. So I'll talk about those when I talk about my TBR. And I'm doing one readathon in January, which I'll talk about when I get to talking about the TBR. I want to read at least 5 books from my I filmed over the course of last year. I think I filmed 4 or 5 TBR videos, and from those videos I want to read at least 5 books for my 2021 TBRs that I didn't get to, because just looking back over those TBRs, I think sometimes those books just get lost in the shuffle, and I don't want that to happen. So I really want to make sure that I don't get. It's really fun to get excited about new books, but I also want to make sure that I'm still reading some of those books, especially if I still want to read them. I might go back and look at them and go, you know what, I don't really want to read that anymore. And of course, I'll add in a bit of mood to it, but I do like the idea of following through on my goals. Maybe it goes along with my competitive personality. I'm a very rules-based person. Okay. Enough about me. 5 book challenges over the course of the year. Book challenges or readathons. Probably repeats. Like I'm really hoping that I can repeat participating in the readathons that I had so much fun with. And then 2 French books. So last year, one of my reading goals was to read 4 French books, and I ended up reading 1. I read Le Soleil de Scorta by Laurent Gaudé, which was really an excellent book. I really enjoyed that reading experience, and my French is good enough for me to be able to read books in French. I would say not super complex writing and dense writing. It might be a little bit more challenging. So that is one of my goals, but instead of making it 4, I decided that it was just too lofty of a goal. So to make my goal a little bit more realistic, I've decided to try to read 2 French books this year. So that I hope I can manage. And then I also wanted to read, I discovered so many great authors through BookTube this year that I didn't know about before. I mean, I say this year, I mean 2021, the past year. And so one of my goals for 2022 is going to be to read 5 books by authors that I discovered in 2021. So I'm really looking forward to reading books by authors that I didn't know about before that I really, really enjoyed in 2021 and reading some of their other books. That's going to be so much fun. And then my last challenge or goal that I set for myself for 2022 is, so last year I read some classics. A lot of them were rereads. I reread Wuthering Heights. I reread The Picture of Dorian Gray. I remember The Handmaid's Tale. And they were just so great, and it was wonderful to reread them because many of them I hadn't read since I was a teenager. So that was really fun. And then I read a couple of new classics. I read The Age of Innocence by Edith Wharton. Oh, I read Thérèse Raquin by Émile Zola, which was just freaking fantastic. I read The Trial, which I think could be considered a classic by Franz Kafka. Every year I want to read at least one Kafka until I've read them all, but there aren't very many Kafka books, so I kind of want to save them, read one per year. And then this year I really wanted to explore Russian classics. So that is going to be one of my challenges. I don't know how many Russian classics I'm going to read. I would say somewhere between 3 and 5. The only Russian classic I've read was Anna Karenina way back in the day. So I've read Tolstoy, but that's really all I've read for Russian classics. And I'm really curious to read, like, I've never read any Dostoevsky. I think I'm going to start out with Crime and Punishment in the winter. Seems like a wintry book to read. Those are my general goals for 2022. So 5 goals for 2022. Read 2 French books, explore Russian classics, read 5 books by authors that I discovered in 2021, 5 books from my TBRs in 2021 that I didn't get to, and participate in 5 readathons or reading challenges. Yay! So exciting. Excellent reading year. Okay, so part of the fun that we had over the holidays is that I was having a little trouble kind of getting geared up for this and choosing books because I just felt so overwhelmed by the number of books that I got at Christmas time. Maybe you checked out my Christmas book haul. I just got so excited and overwhelmed. I kind of wanted to read them all at the same time. So I asked for a little bit of help from a friend, and I asked my daughter to choose 5 books for me for my TBR for January. So I'll start off just talking about the 5 books that she chose for me for January, and then I'll talk about the other ones that I chose and the challenges that I'm going to be participating in. I'm going to be participating in 2 year-long challenges and 1 challenge for January. So starting out with the books that my daughter picked for me. She picked 5 fantastic books for me for my TBR, and a couple of them fulfill some of my goals. The first one that she chose for me, a book that she really, really loved, and actually I didn't grab it from her apartment when I saw her, and it's still there, so I'll just have to show you this image of it. It's Kindred by Octavia Butler. Now, she did get me a beautiful copy that's still under the tree, but I'm gonna borrow her version because she has a paperback version. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading that. I've heard nothing but fantastic things about Kindred. I don't know very much about it. I know that I think it's classified as a fantasy because I think that she goes back in time, so there's time travel involved, but then I also think it's kind of a thriller, and it's also got a running social commentary about slavery. Looking forward to reading it. It will be my first Octavia Butler. The other book that she put on my TBR for January is a book that I've read before, so it's a reread for me, and it's a classic, and it's a book that she loves so, so much. If you saw me unboxing in my vlog over the Christmas holidays, you would have seen that I got her another book by this author because she's trying to decide whether this is her favorite author of all time. But the book that I'm referring to is Perfume by Patrick Suskind. Now, I read this when I was in high school, and I remember thinking it was really unusual and very, very good. So I'm really looking forward to reading this a second time. The thing is that because I read it such a long time ago, I don't actually remember all that much about it. I know that it's about a man who has like an excellent sense of smell, and so I think he goes about trying to create the most elaborate, best perfume you can make. But in the process of this quest, he ends up becoming a murderer. So it's like a murder story, as well. Anyway, it says Perfume, the story of a murderer. Very excited to read that in January, and I think it's safe to say that many people love that book, and that it would be a good one to add to your list if you were interested in that sort of story. The next book that she put on my TBR is Know My Name by Chanel Miller. I had intended to read this book way back at the beginning of 2021, and somehow it just fell off of my reading plans. I really do want to read this. This is the story of Chanel Miller, who was assaulted by Brock Turner in 2019. She was Emily Doe in that case. And this is her story. And I think that it does talk, I think she talks a lot about the justice system and the problems with the justice system in prosecuting sexual assault cases. I'm imagining it's going to be a tough read, but I really think it's going to be a significant and important and good read. And I just want to have read it. I really want to read it. I'm not sure how fun it will be, but I really want to know what her experience was, just so that I have a better understanding, and so that, you know, we could maybe collectively understand the system better to be able to change the system. Call me idealistic. So this is great. This is actually going to be coming up again in the video because it satisfies one of the prompts for one of the readathons that I'm participating in. And also it's great for my challenge of wanting to read 5 books from my TBRs that I didn't manage to read in 2021. So this will be the first one for that challenge for the year. So I'm really stoked. This is kind of a funny story. I got the final girl support group for Christmas from my daughter. I talked about it in the book haul that I just filmed for December. And then so my work gave me for Christmas a $25 gift card which is really nice, a $25 gift card for Indigo. Following my channel for a while, you'll know that I'm a teacher. And the college where I teach sent me a gift card for Indigo. And we ended up driving to Ottawa to go to the Indigo in Ottawa. Don't ask me why. We just needed to get out of the city. And I was able to find so many books in the Ottawa chapters that aren't available at the Indigo in downtown Montreal. It was somewhat, I mean, I guess I shouldn't be surprised by that. I know I can always order books online, but it was really fun to see books that I've been looking for on the shelves. And one of the books that I really wanted, which nobody could find me for Christmas, but which we managed to find at Indigo, was the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, which is another Grady Hendrix. Now, I haven't read any Grady Hendrix. I know about My Girlfriend's Exorcism, which I also picked up. It's kind of embarrassing. I bought what I could, but you can never find these books anywhere. So I picked it up, but I decided I was going to start with this one because this is the first one that kind of came on my radar last year that I really wanted to give a try. And then from there, we'll see where we go with the Grady Hendrix. So my daughter picked it, actually. She added it. She was like, well, I'm going to add some of the books that I really enjoyed, and I'm going to add some books that I know you really want to read to your TBR. Remember, I asked her to pick 5 books for my TBR. So that's 4 of them. And then the last one that she picked for my TBR is really sweet, is Virginia Woolf. This is Flesh. It's an autobiography of a dog. So Flesh is a Cocker Spaniel that I guess the story is that Virginia Woolf found out about this dog through, I don't know if she was reading the letters of Elizabeth Barrett Browning or how she came across the story of the dog, but she decided that she would tell the story of the courtship of Elizabeth Barrett Browning with Robert Browning, also a poet, through the dog. Through this character of this dog. And the dog, I think, gets jealous of this new relationship, if I'm not incorrect. It's just a short little novella, but this also satisfies one of my reading challenges for the year, which is to read a second book by an author that you discovered and really enjoyed in 2021. And in 2021, I read Orlando by Virginia Woolf and really enjoyed that book. And so this is just a little novella, but it's going to be, I think, really fun to read. Yeah, and it also will be coming up again when I talk about the challenge that I'm going to be participating in. So yes, those are the 5 books that my daughter chose for my TBR. I myself already started, I mean, I'm terrible with these end of months because I end up being halfway through books at the end of the month and I don't finish them all for the end of the month, so they end up being a carryovers. So the books that I had started in December, because I finished books for the Reindeer Readathon and I wanted to continue reading, books that I started are Damned by Chuck Palahniuk. think that's how you say his name, Chuck Palahniuk. This is actually in a series. I didn't realize that it's part of a series, but I started this. This was a gift from my daughter for Christmas, and it just sounded really fun. So far, it's pretty fun. It's about our main character, Madison. What's Madison's last name? I'm not sure of her last name, but our main character, Madison, dies on Christmas of an overdose and finds herself in hell. And in hell, at the moment, I'm not that far in, but she has to fight, she's fighting a demon at the moment with a group of other characters who she's met in hell that mimic the characters in the Breakfast Club. So this is a pretty fun read. I started it already. I'm like 80 pages in, but yes, that is on my TBR for January, because I already started it. I also decided to dive into the Milkman, actually not the Milkman, to dive into Milkman by Anna Burns. This was the winner of the Man Booker Prize in 2018, and it was on my list for the Reindeer Readathon, but I decided that the cover is not red enough for it to have qualified for the prompt. But I did really want to read this. I mean, I guess that could be my second book that was on my TBRs for 2021. I'm not sure if it was officially on my TBR for 2021. But the story is about a milkman, and I think it has to do with the revolution, the Irish Revolution. I'm not sure. I know that it has to do with kind of ambiguities about being a young woman and the relationships that young women have with men. I think the milkman is maybe an older man who has a relationship with our protagonist, but I literally just read the first chapter, so I don't actually really know exactly what this book is completely about. A compelling and significant look at how the regular life of a young woman is intimately used for personal and political gain. The main character is called Middle Sister. I don't think we ever find out her name. Middle Sister is a force. She is a modern heroine. And then the other book that I picked up when we went to Indigo, it wasn't even in my book haul. I'm such a book whore. It's terrible. I don't like that word. I'm such a book, I think I tried to say this in another book haul. I'm such a book maniac. So this is Astra. This is a book by a Canadian writer, Cedar Bowers. And I heard about this book off of Rick's channel. What is Rick's channel name? I'm not sure. I can't remember. But he was giving it very high praise. It was in his list of his top books from 2021. And it just sounded so interesting to me the way that he described it. He described it as the book is written from the perspective of all these different people in Astra's life who knew her and their interpretation of her, or the way that they see her, or who she is from their point of view. And I just thought that was so fascinating. And, you know, he spoke about how it made him think a lot about how we behave to appeal to other people or please other people or to live up to other people's expectations. And I think that's something that I'm working on and thinking about. The subject of identity, of my own identity, and what informs my own identity is always something that interests me. And other people's identity, it always interests me. So I was just intrigued. And the cover is amazing. Look at that. The road. Oh my gosh. What a beautiful cover. And also it's a Canadian author. I did consider as having part of my 2022 reading goals to read more Canadian writers. Although I do think that I'm not bad in this regard. Like I do read quite a few Canadian writers. Those were the ones that I chose to add to my TBR that aren't part of any readathons or challenges. Also going to be participating in Women in Translation. I'm not sure what the name of the book club is. I found out about this from Literary Smitten. Who I discovered, who I didn't even know about it, but I discovered through the Reindeer Readathon. So I've been watching her channel, and she has announced a book club for the year, and I'll post a link in the description box below to her announcement video. This is the first book that they're reading. Book club is focusing on reading works in translation. I think works by women in translation. Yes, that would make sense. So this is the first one in the month of January. It's Breasts and Eggs by Mieko Kawakami. So I'll be reading that. I'll be joining in on that readathon. And then I also wanted to see how many books I could read in the Buzzword readathon, which is something that Books and Lala puts together every year. First prompt for her announcement video is for January is who, what, when, where, and she added how, which is good because I couldn't find anything with who, what, when, where, at least not when I was putting my TBR together. But what I did find is the how. This is how the one-armed sister sweeps her house. This was, I think, in the long listed for the Women's Prize last year. I'm pretty sure it didn't make it to the short list by Cherie Jones. I still want to read it. It was actually also, this is another one that was on my TBRs for 2021. So I'm already like 2 or 3 books into this, which is fantastic. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to reading this. I think it's about a murder. That's all I really know. I am super excited to read this one as well. Fun! Reading challenge for the year is being put on by a woman named Chantal Reeds. She's another Canadian booktuber, and she put together, I'll put the link down below for her reading challenge. It's the 2022 Read Your Bookshelf Challenge by Chantal Reeds all day. And her first prompt for the year is to read something with quiet in the title. So I'm going to be reading Such a Quiet Place by Miranda. This was recommended by, she didn't recommend it in her year ends, but she recommended this at one point near the end of the year. Taylor from Books and Lala really enjoyed this read. I know it's about a murder that takes place in a small town. And it just sounded really good. And then finally, I'm going to be participating in the Hello 2022 readathon. This has 4 prompts for it. And the other cute thing about this readathon is that it has some Bookstagram prompts, which I'm excited about. The 4 prompts for the Hello 2022 reading challenge, and I think it's supposed to take place in 1 week in January. I think maybe the last week in January, but I'm just going to be reading the books during the month of January, and some of them are doubled. Actually 3 of them are doubled with other book clubs and also my daughter's choices for my TBR. The first one is to read something on your 2022 TBR. So I just figure this one qualifies because it's the 2022, or sorry, the January, because it's the January book club book for the book club that I just joined for 2022. So that's going to qualify as that prompt. A book that you didn't get to in 2021, that's going to be Know My Name Again by Chanel Miller. And then the other 2 that I added for the Hello 2022, oh no, the other one that's was already picked for me by my daughter is going to be Flesh by Virginia Woolf, because one of the 4 prompts is read a book about new beginnings. And this book explores the beginnings of the courtship, of the relationship between Elizabeth Barrett Browning and Robert Browning. So that's going to satisfy the prompt. Final book on my TBR for 2022 is actually a French book. And it's going to be part of the Hello 2022 reading challenge, because one of the prompts is to read something outside of your comfort zone, and reading a book in French is most assuredly outside of my comfort zone. Hopefully by the end of this year or the end of the next couple of years, it will be in my comfort zone, but it's still a bit outside my comfort zone. And this time I'm going to be reading Des éclairs by Jean Echenoz. This is supposed to be based on, so this is part of a trilogy of 3 biographies, and I think this is the 3rd one. So this book is based on the life of Nikola Tesla, and it's part of a trilogy. So if I really enjoy it, then maybe I'll read the other 2 books in the trilogy. You never know, I might blow through my goal of 2 books in French for 2022. Who knows? Only time will tell, right? Or maybe I won't even get through it. Who knows? It's not that long. It's 174 pages, and I just think it sounds interesting, and I think it will be a good place for me to go next with my challenge to read French books. So there you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 with Kindred, which I don't have with me. So yeah, that's 12 books for this month. 2 of them are a bit shorter, but one of them is in French. So we shall see if I manage this. Bye everyone. See you in the next one.